Ahoy there! I've got man flu, so I haven't got around to editing a video. But luckily, I have something to talk about, and it is this. Finally, a battery upgrade for the boat. Eco-worthy. Fantastic. So if you haven't heard of Eco-worthy, they have a range of products like these ones on the website that I'm probably showing you now in the edit, hopefully. And they were kind enough to send me this 100 amp hour battery. So I love lithium batteries. I bought one for my camper van years ago, probably 8 years ago now, when they were first coming out, and it cost about, I think it was 800 or 900 quid for a 100 amp hour lithium battery. And now the energy density has improved, the price has come right down. This 100 amp hour costs this much, which is staggering compared to what they used to cost. Why does it make a difference? So my current setup, which I will show you now, is a single 100 amp hour battery, I believe, lead acid, which is huge. It is this length, and the 100 amp hour is this length. The lead acid is about this weight, and the lithium is this weight. But it's not just a weight and space issue. So the big thing with lithium is the amount you can discharge them. So this is a 100 amp hour, and you can technically use the entire 100 amp hours. It's not great for the battery, so don't do it all the time, but it is doable. In fact, really, any battery is ideal, but a lithium battery, if you can operate it between 20 and 80% all the time, you'll extend its life no end. Whereas the lead acid that I've got, you can only actually discharge it to 50% before you start ruining the battery. So that 100 amp hour battery is actually 50 amp hours of usable space. So if you take this, for example, if you go from 100% to 20%, you've got 80 amp hours. So it's 1.6 or 7 or something times the usable sparky electric, for basically half the weight probably, and a lot less space, and you can actually use it. Another good thing about these is you have on this particular battery you have a 100 amp continuous discharge. So 100 amp at 12 volts is 1.2 kilowatts continuous discharge rate, if you need it. Or alternatively, I think I've got a little thing here. It can do 230 amps for 10 seconds. The downside to them is they don't have the cold crankability of a lead acid battery, for instance, starting engines and stuff like that. So you're not going to use these particular batteries as an engine starter battery. But they are superb as leisure batteries. So you can string these together, a few. You can make them 12 volt or 24 volt by using them in series or parallel. Standard charge rate, you can charge up to 100 amps as well, continuous, maximum continuous, but realistically you're not going to be charging it at 100 amps because there isn't much on a boat that will pump 100 amps into it. And if you have something that is pumping 100 amps, you're probably not just going to have a single battery. So for instance, if you have two of these batteries, the max continuous with 200 amps because it's split between them, 100 amps each. There are considerations. A lot of people say the drop-in replacements. Not completely true. One major consideration is if you use your engine alternator to charge lithium, you can overwork the alternator. Because these things are so good at soaking up amps, they will just eat and eat and eat, and it will overheat, or can overheat your alternator and fry it. So what you tend to do is have a DC to DC charger between your alternator and your battery, which will protect the alternator. So if you've got a 70 amp hour alternator, you might just have a 15 amp hour or 20 amp hour DC to DC charger, which will protect the alternator and stop it sort of using shed loads of ampage when it shouldn't be doing, or something like that. In the box you get this handy dandy little this what's the word for these? I don't do words very well. Spanner type effort with two little bolts, terminals for the top. So these are M8, I believe, terminals. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick this in the... I'm just playing with things now. I'm going to stick this in the boat, and it will not double, but practically double my power on the boat, which is super handy. What I'm not going to do is show me putting it in the boat, for the simple reason that it's just taking a battery out and putting a battery in. You've seen hundreds of people do it before. I don't need to show you that. You know how it goes. Take one out, put another one in. Yeah. So yeah, this is going to be an absolute game changer for the boat. I have been struggling with being at anchor and stuff like that. I have a 200 watt foldable solar panel. It isn't quite enough, or it doesn't pump in enough power, or the battery hold enough power to make it the boat usable overnight, if you know what I mean. By the time the morning comes, the battery's gone if I'm doing any little bits of things. Another great thing about this as well is that I can now edit videos from the battery, which I could theoretically do before, because as I mentioned in a previous video, I put a 120 watt 12 volt to 19 volt little step up doodad in. I'm pointing at it over there, you can't see it, it's behind the camera. Such is life. So now what I can do is use this to edit videos, because I have, let's call it 80 amp hours of usable battery at 12 volts, call it, so that is 1060 watts, is it? 1060 watts, let's call it, it's there or thereabouts. I could probably do the maths and put it here. So even if it is 1060 watts and I've got that right, that is 10 hours at 100 watts of editing on my laptop. That's assuming that it's using the full 100 watts of my laptop all the time, which it won't be. So, game changer. Another great thing is that now, I was always worried about my tiller pilot sucking all the juice out of the battery, particularly if I needed to put it on during the night and have a rest. That's now much less of an issue, because I've got, you know, a hell of a lot more juice now, and the voltage doesn't drop either as quickly on these. So on a lead acid, the voltage drops straight away in use, and you can have a look at your voltage meter. It might say 12.6, 12.5 volts under load, whereas the voltage drops less under load with a lithium ion battery. The discharge voltage curve is a lot flatter towards the top when there's more power in it. So yeah, that is a wonderful thing. Now all I need is some more solar. Let's hope that that video is upcoming. Spoiler alert, I think it is. So yeah, next week we'll be back to the trip when I have recovered and I can breathe properly again. I will leave a link to these batteries in the description if you want to click on that, have a look at them. Have a look through the website, because they do some amazing kits for different things. So you can get like wind generation kits, solar generation kits, straight batteries, all sorts of different things you can configure, and it's just a great website to have a look around if you're thinking about doing this sort of stuff. So I'll link to that. I'll put it on the thing here. I'll link to it in the description, and go check it out. See you in a bit.